Can't you just let it be? I'm alright.
Crystal Barrasaks, American Idol. You would think that the worst anyone could ever call her would be runner-up, but she was called far worse in high school. She was bullied for the way she dressed, the way she looked, for how her classmates perceived her to be or how they wanted to paint her. She hasn't forgotten the pain of that, but it's important to point out that she made it through, and I'm glad she's here with us tonight. I also want you to meet Daniel Harrison. He's a 10th grader from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Daniel used to be on the other side of this equation. I say used to be. He was a bully, taunting some of his fellow classmates for years. Also with us, Dr. Phil McGraw and Rosalind Wiseman. Crystal, let me start off with you. What would people say to you in school?
I got a lot of different things. I guess I'll start off by saying I had a chaotic home life, and that carried over into school with me. In the hallway, a lot of the, I don't want to single anyone out, but you know, just the more popular kids, I guess, would just make fun of me and call me names, and you know, because I was different, I dressed differently. When you're in high school, you're really searching for who you are and trying to find your place in the world, and you know, you go through phases and things, and instead of accepting differences, I think kids are
It's interesting because I went back to a high school reunion a couple of years ago and realized that the kids who were the most unusual in high school are the ones who are most interesting now, and the ones who are popular are dull and boring.
Yeah,
frankly.
serving the punch at the punch bowl. You know.
But I mean, you know, you can kind of laugh about it now in retrospect, but at the time, and I read you were writing suicide notes in poem form.
Yeah, I never attempted, thankfully, but the thought was in my mind constantly. Coming home from dealing with bullying at school and then dealing with bullying at home as well. So I often spent time in my room, and my escape was music. If it weren't for having a guitar or a pen and paper to write it out and get it out of my head and out of my being, I'm not sure if I would have made it through. I would have been one of these tragic stories.
Danielle, first of all, I got to say, it takes a lot of guts to actually say that, you know, I used to bully people, and so I appreciate you being here. You no longer do bully people. But at the time that you did, why do you think you did it?
I did it because I thought it made me happier. I thought taking somebody else's power would just add on to mine.
So it actually made you feel powerful?
Yeah, I felt like people looked up to me, and I felt like I always had crowds, you know, laughing with me at the victim, and it felt good.
Did you ever worried about being bullied yourself, or?
I had been bullied a little bit about a year or two prior to when I started bullying, but it wasn't serious enough I wasn't hurt too bad.
But the fact that you had power over others made you feel good?
Oh, definitely.
And I mean, Crystal, I guess you must have just felt powerless.
Yeah, it definitely steals you of any kind of confidence and power that you may have had. You know, it's just such a hard position to be in.
Did you think, Daniel, at the time about the effect on the kids, or not really?
Oh, no. I'd never crossed my mind once.
What was it that made you change? You read a book, I understand.
Yes. I was suspended because I had harassed a girl so bad that she came to school just sobbing. And I was in suspension, and they let me read a book, Touching Spirit Bear, and it really connected with me. And it kind of just taught me how to be a better person.
And you actually wrote to the author and told him that?
Yeah.
Have you done it since then? Have you bullied?
No, I have not.
What do you think the key is to getting kids to stop bullying?
I think one of the things we have to really connect with is that lots of kids are thinking that it is entertainment to humiliate somebody. And that comes in all different kinds of ways. And we need to address that directly. The second is, I think we need for bullies is we need to give them a way to come back into the community that combines consequences with, but we still want to be in a relationship with you. So, I mean, I work with kids of all different who have moments like yours or on the longer road to basically being decent human beings. And, you know, sometimes it really takes a pretty tough moment when you're sitting in a room with the kid and you're saying, look, I think you're a man of honor, woman of honor. We've had this conversation that this is going to stop. But I need to be really clear with you that if you walk out of this classroom, out of this meeting with me, and for whatever reason the life of the target becomes more difficult as a result of this conversation, you and I are in a whole different level of a problem.
Dr. Phil, what do you think?
Well, you know, I think we have this misperception that bullies are actually have real inferiority, and so they just try to fluff themselves up, but that's not necessarily the case. we get bullying from all different kinds of personality types, but they're generally perceive themselves to be powerful, and so they don't know how to manage that power. And we have to counsel them. We have to teach them to manage that power. You know, many say we have a generation now that is growing up without empathy, without the ability to put themselves in someone else's shoes and say, I'm inflicting pain on this person. I can imagine what this person is experiencing when they go home at night. And if a child can't go there, if they can't put themselves in that position, then they don't have a reason not to do it.
That's interesting, actually, and I'd comment on that. With my home life, I'm not an expert on bullying by any means, but from my personal experience, empathy is such an important quality for us to have, and it carries through your entire life. And that starts in the home with parenting. If you teach your children tolerance, acceptance, and the ability to empathize, and not everyone has it, but even sympathy. It's such an important thing to be able to do.
I think you being here is nice, because I think it's important to also send the message to kids out there that, you know, while there may be no escape from this sort of 24-hour-a-day bullying that we get online and stuff, there is escape in that you grow up and it gets better. It does get better.
It gets better. I'm living proof, and I'm sure, you know, a lot of people have been bullied, and celebrity types and public figures. It's okay. There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
And you've actually, some of your bullies actually have written to you now that you're famous, right?
I have received some through fan mail, yes.
Do they want, like, concert tickets?
Yeah, everybody wants tickets now.
Oh, that was a bad choice.
Yeah, I don't hold any disdain or hate in my heart for these people. I realize it's high school. But the problem is when it also carries over into adulthood. There are adult bullies, too.
Yeah. Daniel, Crystal, appreciate you talking. Thanks very much. As Crystal says, there is hope. There's plenty to get through, and it's much worse than it was for previous generations, as we've talked about. Now the bullying follows kids home. It's online, it's texted, it's in video games, it's on social network sites, mobile devices. Cyberbullying and what to do about it. Next.
It was basically like, oh, you should, no one would care if you died. You should just go kill yourself. You're ugly. And, like, no one deserves to go through that.